The seed packet says, easy to grow. The garden center puts cucumbers in the beginner section. Then your plant makes dozens of yellow flowers. They shrivel up and fall off. Maybe 3 cucumbers actually grow. And by August, the whole vine is dead. That is not a beginner mistake. That is a beginner getting bad information. There are 7 fixes for this: the right varieties, the right timing, and a $1 disease fix most people already have in their kitchen. One of these is a cucumber type, where almost every flower can set fruit without a single bee touching it. And by the end, I'll put the numbers on screen. How a $4 seed packet can grow over $40 worth of cucumbers in one season. Drop your zone or your state in the comments. Where you garden changes which of these matters most. Number 1. The harvest trap. One ripe fruit kills production. You walk out to the garden, proud of that big fat cucumber hanging off the vine. You leave it one more day to get a little bigger. That one decision can shut down your production. Cucumbers grow faster than almost anything else in your garden. A fruit that looks perfect at 6 inches on Monday can be the size of a baseball bat by Wednesday. That is not an exaggeration. And when you leave one on the vine too long, you are not just wasting one cucumber. You are telling the plant to stop making more. Here is what nobody is putting together. The size of the cucumber when you pick it controls how many more cucumbers the plant makes. A cucumber vine has one job: produce mature seed. Every leaf, every root, every drop of water serves that single goal. When one fruit hangs on the vine long enough to turn yellow, the seeds inside ripen. The plant registers the signal. Job done. It pulls energy away from new flowers. Young fruit drops off the vine. Growth slows to a crawl. But when you strip every fruit off while it is still small, the plant panics. No mature seed yet. Try harder. And it responds by throwing everything it has into making more fruit, more flowers, more cucumbers, faster. What that means for your Saturday morning is this: walk out with a bucket. Pick everything that is 4 inches or longer. Do that every single day. So here is exactly what you do. For slicing cucumbers, pick at 6 inches, no bigger. For pickling types, 2 to 3 inches. Snacking varieties, around 4 inches. The smaller you pick, the more the plant produces. And you are not losing flavor. Small cucumbers are crisper, less bitter, and have fewer seeds than the big ones. Search under the large leaves every time. The cucumbers hiding underneath are the dangerous ones, because those are the ones that go yellow before you notice them. One honest note. I have seen claims that a single overripe cucumber will kill the entire vine overnight. That is a stretch. What actually happens is the plant dramatically slows down and may stop setting new fruit altogether. Some vines recover if you catch the yellow one fast enough. But the damage is real, and gambling on it is not worth the risk. Pick it small, pick it often. And if you find a yellow one hiding under a leaf, get it off the vine before the plant gets the memo. Number 2. The variety cheat sheet. Right seed for your zone. Most cucumber variety lists give you 15 names and 0 context. You still do not know which one to buy for your garden. I went through over a dozen cultivars and matched them to climate, container size, and purpose. This is the short list. If you garden in Zone 9 or hotter, the Southwest, Texas, anywhere that hits 95 degrees regularly, go with Bait Alpha or Diva. Thin skin, almost no bitterness, and they handle heat better than most. Shade cloth at 40 to 50% is mandatory above 95. If you are in Zone 9 and you keep buying the same generic cucumber from the garden center, that is why they taste bitter and quit on you by July. Short growing season, Zones 3 through 5, northern states. Party time or Merlin. Both produce fruit in 50 to 55 days, and they do not need pollinators. I will explain why that matters in a minute. If you only have a balcony or a patio, Party Time is compact enough for a 5-gallon container. Piccolino is a true bush type, even smaller. For flavor, Diva is the best salad cucumber I have found. Thin skin, seedless, zero bitterness. Katrina is crisp and sweet. For pickling, H19. Little Leaf has small foliage, so you can actually find the fruit, and Quarantine pulls double duty for both slicing and pickling. What nobody tells you about this list is the seed-saving part. Beta Alpha is open-pollinated. You can save seed from it and grow the same plant next year. Every other variety I just named is an F1 hybrid. You buy new seed each season. That is the trade-off, and it is worth knowing before you order. You can find most of these at Johnny's Selected Seeds and Burpee. A single packet runs $4 to $6 and gives you 10 to 25 seeds. One packet is enough for 2 or 3 rounds of succession planting across an entire summer. If I had to pick one, Merlin. Productive, dual purpose, 55 days, no pollinators needed. For the money, nothing else comes close. One seed packet, $4. That is 30 to 50 pounds of cucumbers if you follow the rest of this video. But the next one on this list changes the entire game. There is a type of cucumber that does not need bees, does not need hand-pollinating, and turns almost every single flower into a fruit. Number 3. The no-bee cucumber. Almost every flower can set fruit. Regular cucumber plants make 2 kinds of flowers: male flowers that produce pollen and female flowers that produce fruit. If a bee does not carry pollen from one to the other, you get nothing. 0 cucumbers. That is the game most gardeners are playing without knowing it. What nobody tells you about this is how much energy your plant wastes on that system. A standard cucumber vine spends roughly a third of its energy growing male flowers. Those flowers will never become fruit. They exist only to make pollen. If pollinators do not show up, that pollen sits there and dies. The female flowers wither. You get an empty vine covered in blooms that go nowhere. Some varieties only grow female flowers. Every single bloom has the potential to become a cucumber. And the fruit sets without any pollen at all. No bees required. No hand-pollinating with a paintbrush. No hoping the weather cooperates during bloom week. The plant puts all of its energy into fruit instead of splitting it between flowers that produce and flowers that just sit there. That is what Parthenocarpic varieties do, and it is not genetic modification. It is the same kind of natural trait that gives you seedless bananas and seedless grapes. Old-fashioned breeding, nothing more. Of everything on this list, this is the one I would not skip. It changes the entire math of cucumber gardening. What that means for your Saturday morning is this: you do not need bees. You do not need to hand-pollinate. You do not worry about whether it rained during bloom week. You just pick. So here is exactly what you do. Merlin is my top pick. Zone 3 through 10, 55 days to harvest, fruits around 8 inches. Good for slicing, good for pickling. About $5 a packet from Johnny's Selected Seeds. Party Time is smaller. 3 to 4 inch fruits, compact enough for containers. Burpee carries it, around $5. Katrina is the best tasting slicer in this group. 50 days. Available from Johnny's. You can grow these under insect netting without blocking fruit set, because they do not need bugs to make cucumbers. That cuts off cucumber beetles without cutting off your harvest. If your nights drop below 50 or your days push past 95, flowers may still drop. Shade cloth at 40 to 50% fixes that. Straight talk. These are F1 hybrids. You cannot save seed from them and get the same plant next year. If seed independence matters to you, Beta Alpha is open-pollinated and still Parthenocarpic. But it grows male flowers too, so it is not as efficient. Trade-off. Gardeners in the comments of every cucumber video ask the same question. Why do my flowers keep falling off? Now you know. The answer was never better soil. It was a better variety. No bees, no hand-pollinating. Almost every bloom can set fruit. That is not a hack. That is better breeding. If you want more picks like this, the kind that save money and actually survive your first season, hit subscribe. I put out a new video every week. YouTube does not show my videos to people unless it recognizes them as regulars. One tap fixes that. Number 4. The bucket method. Full harvest from a porch. You do not need a garden bed to grow cucumbers. A 5-gallon bucket from Home Depot and a bag of potting mix. That is it. What nobody tells you about this setup is how cheap it actually is. A bucket runs $3 to $5. A bag of potting mix, $5 to $8. One bamboo stake for a trellis, $1 or $2. Drill 4 or 5 holes in the bottom for drainage. Fill it up, plant one seedling, and lean the stake against a railing or a fence. Total cost, $10 to $15. At the grocery store, a single organic cucumber costs you $1.50 to $2.50. If you live in an apartment with a sunny balcony, you are $10 away from growing your own cucumbers. So here is exactly what you do. 1 plant per 5-gallon bucket. If you go bigger, a 10-gallon grow bag from Amazon for $2 to $3. You can fit 2 plants. Use any bagged potting mix. Do not use garden soil from your yard. It packs too tight, drains too slow, and your roots suffocate. Stick your finger 1 inch into the soil every morning. If it is dry, water. Containers dry out faster than garden beds, so in the heat of summer, that means watering every day. Best varieties for buckets, Party Time, because it stays compact, or Piccolino, which is a true bush type that barely needs a stake. Both do well in tight spaces. 0 excuses. 10 to 15 cucumbers across the season, all from a porch or a patio. A 5-gallon bucket. That is the entire barrier to entry. Number 5. The dollar spray. 3 cucumber killers, 1 kitchen fix. Your cucumber vine is growing perfectly. Then one morning, white powder on the leaves. 2 weeks later, the whole plant is done. You never sprayed anything because nobody told you what to spray or when. I used to think powdery mildew was just cosmetic. Then I watched it flatten an entire bed in 10 days. That changed how I approach cucumber season. 3 problems kill more cucumber vines than everything else combined. Here is what each one looks like and what to do about it. First, powdery mildew. White, dusty coating on the tops of the leaves. It spreads fast. What nobody tells you about this one is that the fungus lives right on the surface. It feeds by draining nutrients through the cell walls, but it never burrows deep into the leaf, surface only. Because it sits on top. A simple spray knocks it back before it spreads. But once it covers more than half the foliage, spraying only slows it down. You cannot reverse it. What that means for your Saturday morning is this. Check your leaves. If you see white patches, spray that day, not next weekend. Timing decides whether you save the plant or lose it. Second, downy mildew. Yellow blotches on the tops of the leaves with gray fuzz underneath. It moves faster than powdery and rides the wind from garden to garden. Same response. Catch it early or it wins. Third, cucumber beetles. Small, striped, or spotted, they chew on leaves and carry bacteria that cause wilt. Sections of the vine go limp, then the whole plant collapses. There is no treatment for bacterial wilt once it is inside the plant, prevention only. Insect netting over your plants keeps beetles out entirely. And if you are growing Parthenocarpic varieties, you do not need pollinators to get through the netting. Problem solved on both fronts. So here is exactly what you do. For mildew, Mix 1 tablespoon of baking soda with half a teaspoon of dish soap in 1 gallon of water. Spray the tops and bottoms of the leaves in the evening to avoid leaf burn. Repeat every 7 to 10 days as prevention. Cost per spray, about 10 cents. If you want something stronger, neem oil runs $8 to $12 a bottle. Mix 2 tablespoons per gallon, spray every 7 to 14 days. For beetles, insect netting at $10 to $15 for a 10 by 20 foot piece lasts multiple seasons. One thing straight. If your vine already has bacterial wilt from beetle damage, no spray fixes it. Pull the plant. Bag it in the trash. Do not compost it. Start a new one. The money play here is always prevention, not rescue. A box of baking soda costs $1. A bottle of neem oil costs $8. A summer of dead cucumber vines costs you everything you planted. But the last entry on this list puts a dollar amount on everything you just learned, and the number might surprise you. Number 6. The August die-off. Why vines quit mid-season. Cucumber vines are not like tomato plants. Tomatoes produce all season. Cucumbers burn bright and burn out. If you treat them like tomatoes, you will have cucumbers in June and nothing in September. What nobody tells you about this is how short the clock really is. A cucumber seed germinates in 3 to 5 days. It is ready to transplant 2 to 3 weeks after that. First fruit shows up roughly a month after transplant. And then you get 6 to 8 solid weeks of picking before the vine starts to fade. That is the full lifespan, not a season, a window. Once you understand that cucumbers have an expiration date, everything clicks. You stop blaming yourself and start planning around the plant's clock. So here is exactly what you do. Sow new seeds every 4 weeks. 3 rounds gets you cucumbers from June all the way to frost in most of zones 5 through 8. For zones 6 and 7, the schedule looks like this. Round 1. Start seeds indoors late April, transplant mid-May. Round 2. Direct sow mid-June. Round 3. Direct sow mid-July. If you are in zone 8 or 9, shift everything 2 to 3 weeks earlier. Zone 4 or 5, shift 2 to 3 weeks later. Each round needs just 2 to 3 Parthenocarpic plants to feed a family of 4. That is 10 to 20 cucumbers per plant across those 6 to 8 weeks. Plant each new round in a different spot in your garden to avoid disease building up in the soil. Give them 24 to 36 inches between plants so air moves through the leaves. When the first round starts looking tired, yellow leaves, fewer new flowers, pull it out. Do not nurse it. Bag it and move on. Your next round is already producing by then. If you planted cucumbers once in May and wondered why you had nothing by August, now you know. It was not your fault. It was the plant's lifespan. 3 sowings. That is the difference between cucumbers for a month and cucumbers until frost. Number 7. The money math. $4 in, $40 back. A single cucumber plant costs you about $4, counting the seed, the soil, and the water. At the grocery store, organic cucumbers run $2 to $3 each. Do the math. One Parthenocarpic plant gives you 15 to 25 cucumbers across a season. At store prices, that is $30 to $75 worth of produce from one plant. Your total investment per plant, seed plus soil plus fertilizer for the whole summer, comes to about $7 to $9. On a 3-plant setup with succession planting, the math comes out fast. About $25 in. Over $100 back at grocery store prices. That is a 4 times return on dirt and seeds. Cucumbers might be the biggest payback crop you can grow at home. What nobody tells you about feeding cucumbers is that one product does the whole job. You do not need 5 different products. 1 bag of organic all-purpose granular fertilizer, something in the 5-5-5 or 4-4-4 range, handles everything. So here is exactly what you do. Start feeding 2 weeks after transplant. Every 2 weeks after that, sprinkle 1 to 2 tablespoons of granular fertilizer around the base of each plant. Water it in. Done. That is the entire routine. If you want to spend even less, fish emulsion works. About $8 a bottle, and 1 bottle feeds 10 or more plants across a full season. Mix 1 to 2 tablespoons per gallon. Pour it around the roots every 2 weeks. If you make your own compost, the cost drops to nothing. Compost or worm castings side-dressed around the base does the same job for free. You can pick up any organic all-purpose granular at Home Depot, Lowe's, or Walmart. The brand does not matter. Cucumbers are not picky. Total fertilizer cost for 3 to 6 plants across an entire summer, $5 to $8. Or $0 if you already compost. $4 in, $40 back. And you did not even have to be good at gardening. 7 things. Pick aggressively every single day. Match your variety to your zone and your setup. Switch to Parthenocarpic varieties and stop depending on pollinators. Grow in a bucket if that is all you have. Catch disease early with a $1 box of baking soda. Sow new seeds every 4 weeks so you never run out. And feed your plants every 2 weeks for less than $10 all season. Growing cucumbers is not hard. It just looks hard when nobody tells you these things. Most of what you need costs almost nothing. The rest is just showing up on Saturday morning with a bucket. Which of these 7 are you trying first? And what is the cucumber disaster you wish someone had warned you about? Drop it in the comments. Think of one person who always says their cucumbers never work out. The neighbor who gave up after last summer. The friend who blames the soil every year. Send them this video. Do not even write a message, just send the link. 7 fixes, that is all they need.